All right, everybody, I got a question for you. If I asked you guys to tell me how much money you have in your bank account right now, yeah, I hear a lot of no's. But why? Why wouldn't you? Because there is a lot of shame around money. And then we judge each other, we judge each other's person based on how much debt they have. And that's what I'm trying to present here. I don't think that anybody needs to follow a strict budget, and I don't think that anybody needs to follow some. You can Google how to get your finances in order, and there's many different people who will tell you. But I don't think that one way is the answer. I think if you can get into your own mind and you actually want to do it, you can sit down and figure it out. But then at a certain point, I wanted to live life, like she said, without stressing about the money. I want to be able to pay my bills and live life. And that's what made me get into learning about my own personal finances. There's several tools that I use, like the 24-hour rule. When you go to buy something, is this going to matter in 24 hours? You know, a lot of things that you buy them and then they sit there and you do nothing with them. Especially at Target, I find stuff all the time and I'm like, I could really use that in this room. And then it sits in that room, but I never use the thing. There's another rule called the would I rather test. And as I am a father, this is a test that I use quite often. See, I want to bring my kids on big vacations. You know, just the other weekend, I brought my kids to the Mall of America, to the Nickelodeon universe. We did all the stuff, Crayola experience. They loved it. We spent, I think, $3,000, but it's okay because we had that money. And why do we have that money? Because every time that we would go to the store, we would find something we want to buy, something that we didn't need. It wasn't groceries. It wasn't something, a necessity. I had to tell you guys a little story. My biological mother, terrible with finances. Doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that she asks me for my help. She'll say, hey, you're good with money. You come help me. I'm in a lot of debt. I can't pay my bills. I'm struggling. And I sit down with her and we go over how much she makes and we go over, her expenses and all of this stuff. It's really hard to go through that with somebody. You can see on her face the whole time she's ashamed of her financial situation. And I tell her, like, this is an easy way out. You just have to cut here, and cut here. We can take care of this, no problem. And I don't know if it's because of the shame, and I'm guessing it is, but she just tells me flat out, I'm not going to do that. So it's easy to just tell the person who's trying to help you, I'm not going to do any of that. Because there's a culture around the fact that if you're not out there spending your money on these things, you're not as much of a person as the next person. The person with the money, the person with the nice cars, they're a better person than you, but it's just not true. I think that it's important that when we leave here today, that we consider other people when we're talking about finances. And I hope we can get to a point in our society where we can openly talk about how much money you have, and it's not a negative connotation to it. I want to be able to talk to him about his debt and it not be such a struggle or so much shame around it. Because money, at the end of the day, it's just a thing we use to trade for other things. Humans, our connections, that's way more important than cash. So I really, really hope that we can walk away from here and treat each other with more dignity about money. Thank you.
Well, I just sat through Taylor's money mindset conference thing, and I thought it was pretty great. I had never thought about how much shame there was around money before, and kind of how that affects how we talk about money. And it kind of really opened my eyes to maybe different ways to go about those conversations and stuff like that. And I thought it was really cool and had some good revelations for me to think about.